We're in the home of Barbara Ashbee, and we're going to discuss the wind turbines that have been built around her home.
I can see 11 from our house, front and back, and to the sides. We're about 6 kilometers west of Shelburne, south of Highway 89, in the Melancthon Amaranth wind farm. The Amaranth, where I am, there's 22 turbines in this particular area. And when they started putting them in, or started talking about it, I should say, we weren't as involved as we should have been, I now realize. But the whole essence of the turbine issue was how good it was to produce green energy. Everybody was kind of on board. They looked pretty cool. The Melancthon ones were up first, and they kind of looked almost majestic, sort of. So we really didn't have any big issues, but we were also told they were quiet. And when they were putting them up, I really truly expected them to be a very soft, gentle breeze going through blades and turning the blades. And I can live with that. When we went to the site plan, we saw how close they were going to be. There's one 450 meters, 457 meters actually, directly behind us to the west. And our house faces east, and the next closest is 700 meters east of us, out our front window. And when they actually started putting them up, we were kind of, well, we went to the site meeting, pardon me, and saw how close they were, and we voiced our concern then, but we were told, no worries, it's, you know, within the Ministry of Environment guidelines, you know, and they basically know it's good for you. You can't really argue anything because you've never been in them, in a wind farm, and you trust that they're doing the right thing. So they started putting the roads in and putting the, you know, bringing the trucks in with all the units, and as they started going up, we were getting concerned because they looked pretty darn close. I was taking pictures the whole time, and my husband and I talked about it, and we decided we can't stop it. I mean, we can't do anything, so let's try to embrace the whole concept of it and what it's going to be doing for the province and for the country and for the world, for that matter, for green energy. They got them up, and they started running them. The end of November, they would do one or two. I guess they were just testing them all. And I had sent a letter in actually to my council prior to this, just saying I didn't think it was very fair that they went around and talked to all the farmers and landowners, got them signed up, and they didn't knock on our door as a non-participant. And we're right in the middle of it. I don't think that's fair, and I still don't think that's right. I mean, they should be at least knocking on the door. They said, well, we send out letters and flyers and that, and that's all good and fine, but if you happen not to get it, you're stuck. I mean, and they put the things in the paper, but still there's nobody really knows the degree of, I guess, importance to place on it because they haven't been in one before. So they're assuming, or like we assumed, I should say, that our government's looking after us.
So how are the wind turbines affecting you now?
Oh, the worst thing is no sleeping. It's when they're running, and it doesn't matter if it's a gentle breeze or a mad rushing wind, they're woo, 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 just rotating all the time. When it's a low breeze, you have this heavy vibrational hum constantly. I mean, it's winter, all our windows are shut up. We're laying in bed and it's and some nights when the wind is really going, depending on the blade direction, boy, it sounds like our house is literally in a washing machine, the gyrating woof, woof, and it's loud, and it's very distressing. We're both tired, exhausted almost, because we don't get a good sleep anymore. And my husband, he's experiencing ringing in the ears, like on a pretty constant basis. I get that once in a while, not so much so, but I'm just really tired. Like it's exhausting. And the atmosphere at night, of course, is very, I mean, it's very quiet, so I'm sure the sound carries a lot further. And anyway, it's not right.
And you've mentioned something about your dog.
Yeah.
Understand.
Yeah, my dog, after these started up, I mean, we've got pets. They're from 1999. We've had them a long time. after these started up, she started whining, just coming out. They sleep in our bedroom, coming out into the living room and just whining and crying. And the first week they started them up, before I wrote my letter to the hydro company with concern, I was awake 3 nights, like the full night straight, and it just felt like the room was buzzing almost, not an audible buzz, but just the feeling. And I had really terrible stomach aches, and my dog started coming out and whining and crying and that. And then things settled down a bit. And again, it depends on the speed of the wind, the blade direction, the atmosphere, and everything. My stomach troubles went away, but she has never stopped. She comes out to this day, sits in the middle of the living room and starts barking. She's not looking out a window at anything. She's not concerned about anything. And she just starts barking, and I have to get up and come in and get her and settle her down, and then she will settle down, but then she'll be up again, and it disturbs me because I don't know what she's experiencing. And they're our pets. So,
how has the wind company dealt with your concerns?
I sent off my first letter in early December after I experienced those 3 sleepless nights, and they got back to me fairly quickly, and they arranged a meeting where one of their representatives came over, and he took some notes and to do a complaint, a proper noise complaint up. And he came to our kitchen and our table, I should say, and we had an interview with him, I guess, with our concerns. And I had hoped to get a copy of the report that he sent into to them, but he said we couldn't have one, so he actually photocopied the notes he was making, which I appreciated, but they were just scratch notes. I don't know what actually went into the company. I decided to keep a diary and to inform him pretty much on a very regular basis the nights that we couldn't sleep, which were very many, and the blade direction. Like, I was really trying to figure out if there was a certain position of the blades or a certain wind speed or whatever that was affecting us the most, because I actually, want to help, and maybe they're making errors somewhere, or maybe they've just made a grave error putting these where they did, like they shouldn't be directly behind a house. Maybe it should have been offset, whatever. And it's my emails to him, I'm sure he was getting tired of me because, and I was just informing him, that's all I was doing. They then arranged a noise study over Christmas. It was the week before Christmas, and it ended on the 24th. They set up equipment out in the side of our house, and they did a reading the day they set it up with really good equipment, but they didn't leave that equipment, which they can't. But I mean, I'm sure it's very expensive. So they took an attended reading, they called it, and then left the wind, his little wind weather set up there. And then they were to come back and take attended readings. When they came back was for the attended readings was the day before Christmas, or day before Christmas Eve day, which is when they were going to tear everything down. And they come into the house and they took readings in the kitchen and in the bedroom where it's really causing a problem. If we're standing by the windows in the living room or the kitchen, we can still hear them outside, but it's night sleeping that it's the worst. But they took attended readings in the kitchen and in the bedroom. And when they were driving up to our place, they looked, and they got here, and I said, half of the windmills are down. Like, there's only a few running. And I didn't go out and count how many, so I'm saying half without knowing exactly how many. But it makes a significant difference how many are running at a time. And they were facing due south, which is the least invasive direction to our property as far as the noise goes. And it was a low wind, so they were making noise, but it wasn't quite, as bad as most days it is. So, and they recognize that and they acknowledge that. Now, whether that is in the report or not, I'm not too sure. We'll be getting that shortly.
What would you tell people who have proposed wind projects coming into their area? What advice would you have for them?
Research on the internet. There's so much information out there with health concerns. be very, very careful, because we had no idea. And most people, I mean, we're sitting here in our house and I'm afraid to speak out because now our property values, I mean, who's going to buy the place? And that's my big thing, or one of my big things, I should say. Like, when you make a decision to speak out, you're putting your property on the line. This is our biggest investment we have. And now, I mean, who's going to buy it? And if anybody did want to buy it, they'd certainly have to disclose the noise level. And that's what ticks me off, is we have to disclose it as homeowners selling a property. The government didn't have to disclose it to us when they were putting them in. Like, that is so not right. And the government's there to look after us, and that's what really, I'm very disillusioned.
Would you have any advice for council for different municipalities?
Again, research, but talk about it. Like, people who have not been in the middle of a wind farm are very hesitant to talk because it's all anecdotal. They don't really know, you know, somebody said this, somebody said that, but they don't know. And I understand that because I was there. You can't talk about something you don't know about. But talk to people who are in wind farms, talk to people who've had problems, talk to, especially go on the web. There's so much information. The W5 interview with Helen Fraser was just, it was so good. I mean, when they asked about how many environmental studies have been done, there have been 17 out of 19, I believe, requested, and they hadn't done a one. Something's wrong there. And I will say, too, that the councils, many councils are very, very aware of the issues. Many of them have done a lot of research, but they still can't bring it forward because they don't really know, because they haven't been there. They don't know how, like, how do you convince somebody when you don't know, you know? You have to, I guess, visit the wind sites and visit the people that are in them. That's all I can say. And hope they talk.
Thank you, Barbara. And another question for you. Have you spoken with any of your neighbors? Have you talked to anyone else who might be experienced?
Honestly, not around here, because our neighbors are awesome all around us, and I don't want them to think I have any problem with them. If I was them, I probably would have signed up too, because that's how it was presented. It's good, clean energy. They're quiet. They still say they're quiet. On the Ontario Power Authority website, it says it's no more than a quiet whisper. It's like, that is so not true. But so I have not gone around to my neighbors in the area. Not sure if I will. I don't know. I haven't done it. I guess one of the worst things about this is the fact, first, we can't have our windows open. This is winter and it's only been a month and a half, and I can't even begin to imagine wanting the windows open in the summer or trying to have a barbecue on the back deck with this whoosh whoosh going. The noise does change from, it sounds like a jet's going overhead, like constantly, like the plane never lands, it just whoosh. And sometimes it's like slicing through the air sound, the whooshing sound, and it's very loud. But probably the worst thing is I was laying in bed the other day, actually in the morning, early in the morning, and I realized I will never hear natural wind again in our place. It's always, it doesn't matter if it's very windy out, moderate wind, low wind, it's always that rotating mechanical turbine overrides the wind, and that is probably the worst of it. Yeah. That's why we live in the country, you know, to enjoy this, to enjoy the quiet and the maple trees, you know, rustling leaves, and now that's all gone. And people have to be aware, the minute they put these in, that's gone. It's gone for good. And it'll just sound like a great big factory outside when you go out. It's just, so.
I'm glad you're telling people.
Well, like I said, not very many people are able to speak out, and I think it's important, so, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.